This week's Throwdown is a 3-part workout. On a running clock from 0 to 10 minutes, you're gonna find a 15 rep max overhead squat from the floor. From 10 to 20 minutes, you're gonna do a 10-minute AMRAP of strict handstand push-ups. Rest 1 minute. At the 21-minute mark, there's a 9-minute AMRAP of 10 power snatches at 95 pounds for men, 65 pounds for women, and 10 bar-facing burpees. There are 3 separate scores in this workout.
All right, to get a warm-up, movement standards, or to get on the leaderboard, check the description below. Let's watch Kyle B get into this. So first part of the workout is a 15 RM overhead squat. That is a very non-traditional strength test in the strength world, but in the CrossFit world, it's something that was very commonly tested. Having a 15 RM overhead squat at body weight was one of the original strength tests by Glassman. So when I created this, that was the purpose of it, was to kind of bring something back from the old school and kind of see how people get the bar racked, how they get it to their back, how their positions are enduring at these weights.
I think something to think about this, so you have a 10-minute window, which is a long time, but think about the amount of time that you're holding the bar overhead and probably don't plan on taking very many attempts. I think how I would do this is I would probably go right for the weight I would want to hit, and then if I missed, go down.
Yeah, so Kyle opened here at 235. You saw him, he had like a little step there. He's finishing up, and he just finished, and he's at 57 seconds. So you're almost under tension for a full minute. And now he's taking a second attempt. That was a little fast forward, beautiful editing from Chris. And now he's at 5:08 taking a second attempt. Knowing that strict handstand push-ups is the next test, I'm not sure if I would take multiple attempts. Maybe 2?
Yeah, I think 2 is probably the max. And it would be, like Mia said, your first attempt, you're already obviously warm before the workout. Your first attempt's the goal attempt. And then if that feels really good, because you know how it is, you get amped up or you got a lot of adrenaline flowing, maybe you can do another 10 or 15 pounds. He obviously jumped 20. Give it a chance.
Yeah.
And then make sure that you have at least 3 minutes was what I would recommend before you jump into the next portion of the workout.
Yeah, it's just a really, really tough strength test because it's shoulder stability, endurance, getting it racked, and there's just some general endurance that you have to finish the 15 reps, which you'll see comes into play.
And as you get deeper into your set, you're probably wanting to breathe more, but should breathe less because you need to keep your brace.
Yeah, so he just missed that. I mean, I think that's going to happen a lot, and truthfully, I think it's going to happen to people a lot on their openers.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be really mindful and just figure out what makes sense for you. Now?
10 minutes max strict handstand push-ups.
This is like, this is the best test of fitness I've ever seen.
That's Mia's voice.
There's nothing better than this.
Yeah, this is Brandon's favorite, but this is not a fun test.
No.
Go ahead.
It's definitely going to be much harder if you do more than one attempt at the overhead squat, especially if you only have like a minute or 2. So you got to be smart with that. But I do think the reps are going to vary so much. World-class males especially will be 140 plus reps, I would guess. But then you're going to see a lot of really good guys and girls like that 70 to 80 reps, which is half. I mean, it's crazy the difference.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those movements where the people who excel at it, who are at a lighter body weight and who are smaller, are so much better than everybody else. Kyle has broken these into relatively small sets. I know it's in double speed, but he was doing 5s. I think there's going to be a lot of different types of approach relative to the athlete. So I know like Adam, for example, as a coach would probably do these as like doubles and singles and beat me in it, but I would probably open up with a bigger set and think that I'm going to continue to take 30-second rests and just try to go almost like AMRAP unbroken every time until I get to the end where I'm doing doubles and singles. And Mia's probably, what would you do for something like this?
I don't know if I would go AMRAP unbroken, but maybe like AMRAP -3. And for this, I've never done anything more than, I think we did 60 for time with a cap, so I didn't even get to 60. But that's the most I've done straight through, and it was much less than 10 minutes. So I don't know what I would feel like on the back half of that. I think I would actually use the clock and try to kick up maybe like every 30 seconds and just do what I can do.
Yeah.
And just that way I'm not resting too much.
A test that we have data on is actually 100 for time.
Yeah.
And Max, I know you'll know your higher level athletes. I know Will Morad at one point did like 430.
Yeah, and Noah's like low fives.
Low
I think
fives.
Travis is like was a mid fives at his best.
I mean, so you think about those guys, if they add 30 seconds to that time, still Will's at 5 minutes, and then he has 5 more minutes to accumulate reps, he's going to get 140, 150, 160, something like that.
Something to consider. So this is not no reps with Kyle doing it specifically, but if this were a line in open, his feet being that wide would probably make him get no reps. So I generally try to encourage people to just be tighter with their body lines and think about their legs staying closer together. I think if you train that way and then you have to default to this when you're getting close to failure, it's better than training this way and then not having the other one cultivated.
Yeah.
So just something to think about from a positional and technical standpoint.
For sure. I will say though, if it's just for testing and you can get away with it, and it's easier for him if he for sure.
So you got 78 reps there.
All right, so 78, and now into the more traditional Metcon format. So 2 shoulder stability tests, that strength tests or strength endurance tests that lead directly into light power snatches and burpees.
Still shoulders
and shoulders.
So I think it's good to note that the first 2 tests, and you can disagree with me, but they're probably not things you would say like, oh, those are Kyle Bernier workouts that he's going to smash. But this part is very Kyle Bernier-y.
Yeah.
So what did he get last year in 20.1? Do you remember his
I
time?
don't, but if
He
you
told me
guys
he was
carry
like
the conversation, I'll pull up the leaderboard.
he told me it was like low 9s.
Okay.
I knew he was pretty fast. I mean, top 50 in the world for sure, and he's world class at burpees.
Yeah. So let's see how this goes.
This is a whole new ball game because he just did the overhead squat and then 78 strict handstand push-ups, which again, that's a max effort for him, and I think it's going to feel much different when you get down on the ground for burpees.
Yeah, when I talked to him before he started, he was comparing this to his 20.1 score and basing his strategy on that, which I do think that it's smart to know what your score is and use that as a little bit of a baseline. Just keep in mind there's 2 more snatches here in 20.1, but I wouldn't approach this the same way as 20.1 because it's not going to feel the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just even the speed of contraction off the floor of the burpee, if you're adding that much tricep pressing literally a minute before, a minute's not enough time to recover, you're going to have local muscle endurance or local muscle power differences. I mean, there's very few people that could recover from a 10-minute max handstand push-up and not lose pressing power a minute later for a Metcon.
So his first round was about 56 seconds.
Which is still, I mean, obviously you're adding, like Mia said, more snatches, so that's going to play a role, but that was already slower than an average round time for him in 20.1.
Yeah. What would you say about how he's doing the technique of the actual power snatches?
So it's hard to say because I think when your shoulders are tired, you have to bring it into your hip and almost do like a true brush your hip or hip
power
bump.
snatch, yeah.
One of the things that I really like, especially at 95, 65, is it's almost like a pseudo muscle snatch where you're kind of just dipping underneath it to start. And then over time, let's say 5 rounds in, if it was like 20.1 where it's 10 rounds, that's when you start brushing the hip more and more. Basically, you're using the least amount of energy possible to get the rep done, and then as you get more and more fatigued, you have to bump a little bit more and a little bit more and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I find almost the power snatch at this weight is like you're almost encouraging somebody to mess up the actual squat snatch sequencing where you're pulling a little bit faster right off the floor and then using that momentum since it's light to just drop under a little bit. And I don't know, for me personally, that just seems to save my heart rate and respiration. I'm guessing because you're not using like the big powerful hip muscles that take more energy. But it kind of gets into hey, maybe this is only something for a little bit more advanced athletes who already have good snatch sequencing where you can kind of blend between the two.
Yeah.
You can tell he's tired here with that pause overhead.
Yeah, you can tell even just I think it's cold out right now in Atlanta and he's sweating pretty good. So
Yeah, but he doesn't matter how cold it is, he doesn't wear a shirt. He always sweats that much.
maybe.
You can see his burpee cadence has slowed quite a bit, but still, this is actually pretty fast for the average CrossFitter.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Nothing to hate on here. Kyle does a really good job no matter what. I've seen him grind in burpee workouts to where he is really good at getting over the bar and then falling down right away. And you can see he has his chest down, he's already hinged over, so it allows him to get back to the floor quickly.
Yeah, so these are about 3.5 second per rep burpees. In something like 20.1, it's closer to like 2.5.
2.5,
which is
yeah.
substantially faster, but I feel like, just the amount of freshness in that workout is just different.
Yeah, it's a totally different workout.
Same movements, different workout.
Yeah.
Don't unless 20.1, like maybe if that was the beginning of your CrossFit career and you've progressed a lot in the past year, I don't think you should expect to
compare these two.
Yeah, no, I don't. What do you think about if he were to redo this, breaking his snatches from the beginning?
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to watch this, and I am going to reserve the right to change my mind when I watch more on-site people do this. He had mentioned in his training results, since he sent them to me afterwards, that he just wasn't feeling like he had the push or the go that he normally has. So I'd really like to see, is this him being really tired on not his greatest day of performance, or is this just a really hard sequence of tests, doing some max effort, long duration strength tests into maximal effort pressing overhead, which is not his greatest skill, and then that is compounding into him not being able to express his best capacity here. So I think that I don't really have an answer to your question.
Well, it's probably a little bit of both, right? I mean, I know that's the easy answer, but that's usually what it is. And you can see, I mean, he doesn't take breaks on burpees. He's obviously taking breaks now, which is, for everyone about to do this, no matter how good you think you are, like Kyle is legitimately world class at these two movements, so you got to keep that in mind. I do think, especially with him, because I've seen him in heavy pressing workouts, that once his shoulders go, it makes everything else feel like it's going. So he starts breathing a little bit harder, his blood pressure is rising, his forearms, he says, get a little bit numb. So he's probably experiencing all of those things because of the compounding effects of the movements that he tested.
Yeah, so for science-y nerds out there, something to think about with regards to energy systems and what CrossFit has exposed. You think of strict handstand push-ups as like a strength test in the upper body, but as you start to get tighter and put more blood in there, it can create interthoracic pressure, which puts more stress on the heart. So his actual ability to be enduring, quote unquote, after doing that could be affected by doing upper body strength tests before. So it's an interesting dynamic to watch what happens to somebody's maximal strengths in the sport and how they get affected if they're, training their weaknesses right before them. And weaknesses is relative term. I mean, he did 78 handstand push-ups, which is probably better than most people watching it, so it's good. But like you said, it could be half the volume of maybe a more elite handstand push-up.
So Mia, you asked about should he have broken the snatches early. There are obviously a ton of different ways to skin the cat, right? But I think for someone like him, it's probably worth taking some risks in a workout like this and just see if he can go unbroken. For most of us, though, I would choose your poison, so to speak. So maybe it's, I'm going to go unbroken for the first so many rounds on snatches and then slower burpees. And then maybe for others, it's, I'm going to break my snatches and then try to push myself in my burpees. There's different ways to get it done to make sure that you're getting as many reps as possible.
I do think that a break on the snatches is less costly than a slower burpee.
For sure.
So it's something to
we
keep
talked
in mind.
about that in 20.1, especially like, hey, if you're not good at barbell cycling, break there so that you can still move at a faster cadence for the burpees.
Well, for me, it was, I am good at barbell cycling, but I'm not fast at burpees, so that break was important for me.
These breaks, quote unquote, I mean, I'm going to analyze this as if I'm being insensitive and this was an open that I was watching. They're too long if you're breaking the snatches. So he's taking a long break getting to the snatch, then breaking the snatches and taking about a 10-second break. When you watch the people that were successful in 20.1 that broke the snatches up, those rest breaks were like drop the bar, one breath, pick it back up. So if you're planning that break strategy, the actual approach to the urgency of the breaks, I think, needs to be a little bit faster than what's displayed here if you're looking for an elite time. This probably will still be, top 1%, but we're nitpicking to try to help people have some understanding of kind of how to gauge their own effort in this type of a workout.
Yeah. I think right now he needs to just kind of be aware of the clock too. I think he is looking at it. He knows that he has 90 seconds left. at what point do you kick? And for Kyle, if this is an open workout, he probably already would be kicking. He can grind.
Yeah.
I think in a workout like this, it's probably going to be, I'm guessing 30 seconds left. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, so that was an 11-second break right there. And you only have 90 seconds left total. I mean, it's just something that, like, that's where the real separation of somebody like Matt Frazier or even like a Noah on this type of a workout, like that's really where a lot of the separation comes between like the top 0.01% and the top, 0.05%.
It is pretty remarkable how large that separation can
how
become.
big the gap is.
And how hard it is to, once you get there, like,
to get any performance gains. So I've never been there, so I don't know.
you just see it.
I've seen how hard they work for small improvements.
So final 30 seconds.
Definitely picked up his pace here on the burpees. Now he's kind of doing a 2-foot jump up, kind of staggered, but still.
Yeah, so he's closer to just under 3 seconds. If you count when his feet hit the ground on the other side, it's at 43-ish. And now, well, maybe he's about the same.
Good transition there. He knows he has 10 seconds left. And again, if this is an open workout, that's where you just have to grab the bar and go.
These extra reps matter so much. And look at that suffer face. You know he's going.
Good job.
It's over.
You're a trooper, Kyle.
All right, so
job,
good
man.
luck on this workout. I think to summarize some of the key points, few attempts on the 15 RM overhead squat, so have that planned out. On the strict handstand push-ups, break up some sort of a strategy relative to how you do it and paying attention to the clock, and then be prepared for this last workout to hurt, so maybe have a good break strategy in that power snatch set and try to keep the burpees quick. You guys got anything else before we go?
That was so well done, Max.
Awesome, thank you.
Next Thursday at 1 p.m.
Next Thursday, 1 p.m., you'll see us here, and now you'll see Project Pat.
It's a wrap, you know what I'm saying? Your boy Project Pata in this thing, man. Hey, look, man, thank y'all for watching Training Think Tank's YouTube channel. Y'all hit that motherfucking subscribe button, you know what I'm saying? So y'all go ahead, man. Thank y'all for watching the channel, you know what I'm saying? Hit that motherfucking subscribe button, let it be known, what it be known, what it be known, you know what I'm saying? Pata.